Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Stern Spiel. It's episode 4. I feel like we are on a good roll now, and I'm feeling very excited to be here today. I'm Veronica.
I am Charlie Stern, and I'm Veronica's dad.
Among other things.
Yes.
And this is the Stern Spiel, a weekly podcast where me and my dad get on the mic and talk about things in our lives, things that are happening in the world, and hopefully bring a little fun into your lives for, 25 minutes.
Father-daughter conversation about what's going on and various things.
Yeah, so there's some structure this week, so I'm sure everybody watching will be very happy about that. And we're going to kind of start out with some warm-up questions. So,
Go ahead, Veronica.
Dad.
Yes.
What was the most annoying thing that happened to you this week?
Well, that's easy. The most annoying thing is I got sick for a couple of days, and I don't know if it was a flu or what, but I was down for the count for like 36 to 48 hours in the middle of the week.
Yeah, and to say, I think everybody in the world, in the country, is dealing with
Which is why we're recording this a couple of days later than we had planned.
Okay,
but we're going to get it out there.
Yeah, I guess it's Saturday, and usually we would like to film on Thursday.
Yeah,
it's fine.
We'll get it out there.
So I also was kind of dealing with a little pesky thing. I actually thought I was getting sick, but I think it was just my ear was... So basically, if anybody out there deals with this, please let me know. I have small ears, okay? My dad, you don't have small ears.
I think I have normal ears.
Yeah, I have very tiny ears. If you can see on the video, my ears are tiny. For some reason, the Apple headphones do not... Well, they stay in my ear, but because of my ear canal is so small, they irritate my ear.
You were talking about the wired earbuds.
Yes,
just to
the
be clear.
wired headphones,
right.
Not like the over the ear.
Right.
/ AirPods. So for the longest time, I've avoided wearing those because I know that they are too big for my ear canal. This is so specific. So recently...
You were editing the show.
So recently I got a new pair of wired headphones because I like editing with those instead of the over the ear.
Because the two pairs of wired... high-quality Sony headphones that we have, including the ones that are sitting right here, none of those were good enough, so you had to go out and purchase a pair of $20 Apple wired earbuds.
Well, also I needed them because I like wired headphones, and I only have AirPods and Sony, my own pair of Sony over the ear.
And what went wrong?
So, all to say, they irritated my ear, and I got not an ear infection, but basically an ear infection because my ear canals are too damn tiny for the ear pods. Yep. And it was so painful. I thought I was getting sick, but honestly, I went to the doctor yesterday, and now I feel fine today, so thank God.
Can we do a correction from the last episode? This has been bothering me for 10 days now.
What?
So in the last episode, we had this very interesting conversation about Charlie XCX, mm-hmm. and that you were amazed that I knew who Charlie XCX was, which I do know who Charlie XCX is. That Boom Clap song was really big, and I mistakenly thought that it was Charlie XCX who was the opening act for Miley Cyrus when we went to see Miley Cyrus at the
Barclays
Center in Brooklyn. Right. It was, in fact, not. It was Iconopop. But to be fair to myself, the reason I think I had some confusion is because I believe Iconopop had a big hit with Charlie XCX.
They did.
Okay.
What was the song called? I Don't Care, I Love It.
I don't care.
Yeah, don't sing it. I don't want to
Okay.
Right.
We don't want to tip off any sort of copyright infringement issue. But yes, that was... So I'm now cleared of any wrongdoing on that one. Now, the only other... omission from the from the prior episode is that you asked me what other big things were going on, and I neglected to mention my 34th wedding anniversary, and I also neglected to mention my my own birthday, which were within a week of each other. So that is now off my list of concerns, and I have now been absolved of the omission.
And that's the correction segment, everyone.
Yeah, the correction segment is now over.
So, I don't really know how you forget to mention your wedding anniversary, but I guess when you've been married for 34 years.
I didn't forget my wedding anniversary. I forgot to mention it on the show.
Okay, fair enough.
There's a difference.
Fair enough.
Didn't forget it, and we had a very nice wedding anniversary.
That's very nice. I'm very glad that was good for you guys. You kind of sped through the warm-up questions a little bit.
Oh, were there more?
There was one more. Do you want me to say it?
Bring it.
So I was going to ask you, so I asked what the most annoying thing that happened to you this week, and I wanted to ask you what the funniest thing that happened to you this week. This is the thing that I wanted to say was funny. How old do you think the Cheetah Girls is at this point?
I'm going to say 18 to 20 years old.
It's 20 years old.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah, because I guess it was a newish show when you started watching shows.
Yeah, and like my mind is just like blown that like something from my childhood could be 20 years old at this point.
Well, not only is it 20 years old, it's come and gone. There's another generation of kids that's onto something else.
They don't even know about it because I guess the Cheetah
Right.
Girls hasn't had like that rebirth that a lot of these other shows have had.
It's different.
Do you remember when I got the CD and you guys took it away for my birthday?
I do not remember that, and I don't know why I would have done that.
I think it's because like I was like bad or something, so you guys like as punishment took the CD away from me because you were going to give it to me for my birthday.
We confiscated an audio CD of
the Cheetah Girls. So like
doesn't ring a bell.
I saw it and I knew that I was going to be getting it for my birthday and I was like so excited, and then you guys took it away from me.
Does not ring a bell.
Classic.
I got something else that I like, the bulky thing that I need to talk about this
Okay,
week.
what is it?
This is the heavyweight thing. So, I think I alluded to it last week, but I don't. Prescription medicines has turned into a major issue in my life. So let me like put a little bit of a frame around this. I don't want to over describe it. You go to the doctor, you get a diagnosis for whatever it is, whatever your acute problem is, or maybe you have something chronic. The doctor prescribes some kind of medicine. You, on your way home, you stop by the pharmacy and you pick it up.
Yeah, why are you describing like how prescriptions work?
Because that's how prescriptions worked my entire life until about 90 days ago. Okay, that's kind of the workflow that we all expected from the pharmacy. You go down there, and now to be fair, there have been some technological improvements. There's text messaging updates, there's notifications, you can dial in if you need a refill now, there's mobile apps, there's some things, but the basic process is go down to the drugstore and get what you need. So in the last 90 days, I have had 4 instances where I was unable to receive an initial or refill prescription. And there's different reasons. Each one has a slightly different scenario. All I can tell you is it's I don't know why I didn't run into these snags sooner, but now I have, and I don't think it's a first world problem. I think it's a regular person's problem.
Well, the thing is, I'm also having the issues.
It's a regular person's problem with a first world overlay. Let me explain what I mean by that.
Okay.
We are all, like a lot of people, are having problems getting prescriptions filled and are running into for whatever reason, I don't know why I didn't run into this before. I have some theories on it. Prescriptions are very complex, Veronica. It's not just your doctor and your pharmacy. It's your doctor, your insurance company. There's something else in the middle called a pharmacy benefits manager, which I found out for the first time this week. And then there's the pharmacy.
Yeah.
So doctor, insurance company, PBM, pharmacy. And there may be others that I'm not aware of. Apparently there's a job in some hospitals, including the hospital that my doctor is associated with, called prescription liaison. You ever heard of this?
No.
Okay. Prescription liaison is somebody that works in the orbit of the doctor, and their whole job is to get what's called a prior authorization for medicines that require a prior authorization, which many do now. So there are...
Dad, where are you going with this story?
I'm trying to simply provide the context on how unbelievably complicated.
So would you say you're trying to live in the
a
context of
prescription.
all of which came and which comes before you and what came after?
You talking about the Kamala Harris quote of
Coconut tree?
No, that we're not encumbered by what has been and blah 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 blah.
No. She said, "You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you."
I'm telling you that there's a whole new ball game when it comes to prescriptions, and let me just put a point on it.
Please.
The worst of the problems, and they're not all straightened out. Okay, they're not. But the worst of the problems got straightened out. A quick shout out to
Cindy Chan.
Cindy Chan at the CVS in Mount Vernon, because in that particular snafu of that particular prescription, the issue was a procedure that the pharmacist did not know that would have unlocked the refill. So the prescription was written. The prior authorization was in place. There was a coupon provided for the copay.
Right.
It was inexpensive. First, advertised on TV type of medicine. Everything was solid. I got the medicine. 30 days later, I needed a refill. I couldn't get the refill. Long story short, it all came down to a procedure that somebody in that pharmacy didn't know how to follow.
Well, the same
and
thing.
And that spun up hours and hours of work.
Well, the same exact thing happened to me. And my analysis of it would be, shout out to Cindy Chan. Homegirl knows what she's doing over there. Unfortunately, we do live in a world where CVS pharmacies are completely overrun. And if you notice, Dad, every single person on that line, when they were in the line to pick up their prescription, every single person had to go over to Cindy. And so literally every single person.
And what does that tell you? That tells you that the process is so process oriented that it's not something, buying a prescription is not a simple transaction that a register clerk can handle typically. Maybe 1 in 5 times.
Yeah.
But the other 4 times, they're being shunted off to a pharmacist or a pharmacy manager who needs to know a lot of clicking in order to get your thing out the door.
Right.
And if that person doesn't know the particular procedure, and there's an insurance company and a PBM.
Okay.
And also
we've been over it. We can't go over it again.
Okay.
Shout out to you, Cindy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Cindy Chan. We need more Cindy Chans.
I know you wanted to talk about Kamala and Doug. What did you want to talk about them?
Okay, so the thought here was that is there a parallel between me and Mommy and Doug Emhoff and Kamala Harris? I'm curious what you think of that.
I mean, other than the fact that it's like Black and Jew together, what else?
I'm stretching to try to find what else also.
Why?
If I'm being perfectly candid with you, well,
then why did you want to talk about it?
Because obviously they're both politically minded.
Okay.
Okay, there's that.
Okay.
She's black. There's that.
What else?
I don't know. I wonder though, but they're about the same age.
Okay, but they're divorced.
As us. They're about the same age.
They're divorcees, aren't they?
He's a divorcee. She was not married.
Are you sure?
Well, I would need to fact check that.
We're going to have to bring that back to corrections next week.
I don't know whether that's a first marriage for her.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think it is a first marriage.
So are you saying what is the thing between blacks and Jews?
No, I'm just saying, do you think a parallel between those two people and the two people you know as mom and dad?
I mean, no. I mean, I don't want to be mean to the second gentleman, but he seems a bit dopier than you.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
I don't know, that you and mom feel more balanced in your power dynamic, and I would say for the outside looking in to Doug and Kamala, obviously she seems more powerful than him.
So,
which, I mean, she is, but
what made me bring this question in the first place is I read someplace, I believe on Twitter, now known as X, that Doug Emhoff was, at the time that he found out that Kamala Harris was going to become the presidential nominee, he was apparently at the Soul Cycle in West Hollywood.
Yeah, I saw this.
Which I find interesting.
I saw that.
What is their life really like?
I mean, I think Doug just is there, and I think that what does the first lady do, really? Her job is to decorate the house
What
at
you're
Christmas.
saying when the president is a man, what is the first lady's job?
Yeah, and vice versa too. Like when the vice president is a man, what does his wife do?
What does the first gentleman do? I don't know.
So like he goes
to
to Soul Cycle in WeHo and like calls it a day.
He goes to Soul Cycle sometimes.
Like,
yes.
do you think? No, actually, I'm not going to say it.
I think he does a lot of ceremonial stuff. I think he probably does, introductions. He shows up at events.
He's likable.
He represents the vice president at functions and
at
things
like
that.
the cultural things.
Probably does a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that all you wanted to say about that?
That's all I have on those people. Yeah.
Oh. So do you think she's going to announce her vice president this weekend?
It's going to happen on Monday. And
on Monday.
And I'm pretty sure I know who it's going to be.
Who?
It's going to be
Kelly?
Senator Mark Kelly. Absolutely.
Oh, has there been more stuff?
So, there hasn't really been more stuff. And here are my clues. He makes the most sense on so many different levels.
Right.
His resume is impeccable.
Right.
He's got the whole NASA background. He understands. He probably can relate in a very connected way to Kamala Harris because they've both been in the Senate. And she needs people that understand that legislature. And I think she probably needs a well-vetted senator better than a governor, in my opinion. So I just think that he's just an exemplary choice.
Well, I feel like this week in politics has been a little quieter than it's. Well, no, actually, it hasn't. Do you want to talk about the NABJ conference?
You can talk about it if there's something on there that's of interest to you. Go ahead.
The only thing that's of interest to me is the fact that, one, my sister is a part of that group, which I think is very interesting. And then two, no, actually, I don't really want to talk about what he said because he is in Trump. Because
it's too bonkers.
It's just too bonkers.
Yeah.
It's too upsetting.
Yeah.
It's just like, what else is there to say? Because what I was going to say is like, we almost had a whole week of like quiet on the political front, like just normalcy. And then like that happened and it was just like, okay, here we go again.
It's too crazy and too bonkers.
But I will say you weren't home when Kamala had her rally in Atlanta.
I think I saw some of it.
But
you
the
talking
part
about the thing where she was speaking at a sorority?
No, not the sorority, the Atlanta rally. And she was like, well, I have just one thing to say to Donald Trump. If you have anything to say it to my face.
Yeah,
and
sure,
that was just like crazy. I loved that moment. But yeah, otherwise, no, nothing much has happened on that front. But the best thing that's on TV right now, the Olympics.
Right.
Have you been watching?
I've watched a little. Obviously, I've seen these unbelievable performances by a lot of people, but I mean, especially
Nerozzik or Steve.
Yeah, Clark Kent, whatever that guy's name is.
Steve.
Yeah, that guy, and then of course
Simone Biles.
it's just unbelievable, and they're all unbelievable. I mean, there's so much perfectionism in it. It's the only thing I find fascinating, but also difficult is like it's very focused on perfectionism, especially the gymnastics competitions and the thing with the horse and all
the pommel horse.
Yeah. It's all perfectionism and perfectionism. And you're watching on a certain level, you're watching to see them mess up, and you're looking for the errors. And like, I didn't know, but apparently when a gymnast lands, if their back is in the shape of an L, that's considered a bad thing. Well, if they didn't point that out, I would never have known.
Well, yeah, because we don't watch gymnastics. We watch it every 4 years, basically.
But it's a fascinating thing to watch. It's an international diplomacy event. It's there's people there from the North Korea, and they're competing with people from Europe and America, and it's just it's a pretty fascinating thing. And then when it's over for 4 years.
Which is like the best part about it, honestly. Yeah. It's like 2 weeks of just nonstop content and nonstop things happening, and then once it's done, which is just nice. But there's two things I wanted to talk about with the Olympics this week. Have you seen the chocolate muffin from Olympic Village?
I think I heard something about this.
So there is a chocolate muffin.
It's got nuts or something?
No. There's a chocolate muffin in the Olympic Village cafeteria that is supposedly amazing. The only reason why we know about it is because this swimmer from Norway, Henrik Christensen, made a TikTok and was like, I just ate the best muffin of my life in the Olympic Village.
So is the recipe available?
No, not yet. I'm like waiting for the recipe to come out. But did you notice I bought chocolate muffins?
I did notice that there's chocolate muffins up there. I mean, I'm not eating that stuff. I'm trying to stay away from it.
Yeah, well, I bought it because of that guy.
So I guess that's like a little kitschy thing that makes people feel connected to the event.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. And he also is making like the funniest content. And it's just like funny that the thought of like these Olympians like being obsessed over like a chocolate muffin, like probably the one thing they shouldn't be eating, but you know, who's to say? So I guess to close out, we'll end on a question again.
Mm-hmm.
If you could compete in one Olympic sport, what would it be and why?
My Olympic sport is doing the laundry and folding the laundry.
No, Dad, a real Olympic
No,
sport.
you had to see me going this morning. I was up at 4:30 a.m. And you got to get things to the point where there's parallel processes taking place. Washing and drying and folding going simultaneously, and you try to keep that rhythm. And if you can keep that rhythm going and going and going, you can finish all laundry in like 2.5 hours. That's my Olympic moment.
No, I didn't say what was your Olympic moment. I thought you were going to say like, oh, if I could, do anything in the Olympics, it would be horseback riding.
Oh. Do they have horseback riding?
Yeah, they have horseback riding.
There's equestrian stuff in in this Olympics?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you want to know how they get the horses there?
How do they get the horses?
So they pack them up in these like cargo boxes and then they fly them there.
That's crazy.
Here's the thing, a lot of the people that compete in equestrian get to because wouldn't you think like jet lag and like how do the horses compete after flying and like the swelling?
Yeah.
So basically a lot of the competitors go to the place years before.
Oh wow.
And like they train in Paris or in LA
like
years before so that everything is acquainted, the horses are acquainted. Because I was watching it the other day. It was on in the morning and I was wondering.
I have an answer for you. It would be Olympic walking 3 miles a day because that's all I can really handle. Honest to God, that's where I am in terms of physical exercise and demand. Is I can if I really put my mind to it, I can walk about 4 hours a week.
Speed walking?
Maybe not even speed. I would go for the steps and the endurance and the repetition. That's right now. That's where I'm at because I was doing. This is like reality here, folks. I was doing no exercise until about June of this year, and then I kind of hit the gas. I got the call that like my health is not going to be what I want it to be unless I exercise a lot more. So that's for me. If you're asking seriously, like what physical endurance and Olympic type activity, I don't see myself doing any of that stuff. But for me, it would be like an Olympic achievement if I could maintain walking 5 times a week, which I'm trying to do.
Oh, okay. So I guess my Olympic sport that I would do is maybe. Like, I wouldn't want to do gymnastics because I've done gymnastics and I liked it, but I don't think I would want to do it at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Although the nice thing about it is, like, once you're done, you're done. Like, it's a very fast sport.
Well, but you got to prepare for 4 years.
Oh, my God, Dad, you're taking it so literally. Like, it's a metaphorical question. If you could be in the Olympics, what sport would you choose? Skateboarding?
Do they have skateboarding?
Yes, they have skateboarding.
I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. Do they have bicycling?
Bicycling?
Yeah.
Why did you call it bicycling?
Because I guess maybe I'd be interested in being a cyclist. I don't know. It's not the right question.
Would you want to swim in the Seine?
It's not the right question. No. That's a big no.
Would you want
Major E. coli problem there.
Yeah. Would you want to... I guess gymnastics is like the easiest cop-out answer. No, trampoline?
Looks like fun. Would be interested in trying it. What do you got going on for the next week, Veronica?
Nothing.
No? Nothing you want to talk about or nothing absolutely?
No, nothing is on the calendar right now.
Well, then that gives you time to work on this show and getting the information out to our dear fans because people are starting to look at it now, so that's cool.
Oh, Dad, tell them about what happened at the show. We didn't even talk about cats.
Oh, I went to see I went to see Cats. What's it called?
The Jellicle Ball.
Jellicle Ball. That was a crazy thing. That was like the day after we recorded the last episode. So really quick.
I also saw it.
Cats the Jellicle Ball is at this amazing theater in the financial district of New York City.
Yeah, it's brand new. You know that, right?
Yeah, the Perlman Center. Perlman Performing Arts Center. If you get a chance to go see this show, I highly recommend it. I never saw Cats, and it's interesting. And to give you a really quick summary of my wrap up on that show. This show, The Jellicle Cats, is loosely themed on Cats, the musical, the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, and it's got a sort of an overlay of
ballroom culture.
Ballroom culture.
No,
right?
no, it is Cats, but they instead of doing like what they usually do where they're like in a junkyard and everyone's pretending to be a cat, instead it's in a like the ballroom scene of the 1990s and they're doing a ball.
So
nobody's a cat.
So there's all these themes running through it and these unbelievable characters, and it's very energetic and it's highly charged. I mean, it's some like serious business going on.
Oh my
here.
God, yeah. Those people must be tired.
Very, very intense dancing. I mean, Veronica, I don't know if I told you this.
What?
I saw a female dancer, okay, and she used her left arm to brace down her breasts.
What?
And then proceeded to make the entire rest of her body vibrate violently. Okay? It was like, I was like,
what part of the show is
what
that?
is this?
What?
It was in the middle of the show. There were a lot of scenes like there was this show is.
I don't remember that.
But you know what? The crowd went nuts.
Yeah.
And people couldn't get enough of it. So, you know, the joy that musical theater brings to people was absolutely in this show. So, you know, kudos. It was a great show. It is not exactly my cup of tea. I'm going to tell you something interesting. I never saw Cats. I was never interested in it. When Cats came out, or I should say when Cats was big, like in the 80s, I was into a totally different brand of music.
I mean, yeah.
And it would be the last thing in the world I'd ever go see. I didn't look down my nose at it, but I knew about it. Andrew Lloyd Webber, it seems like pop, rock, opera. It wasn't really something I was interested in. But I understand that it's a massive phenomenon. You know, and they had a little bio about Andrew Lloyd Webber in the playbill, which I read. Fascinating. So Jellicle Cats, it's a whole thing.
Dad, didn't you get recognized though?
For what?
You got recognized at the show.
I don't remember what you're talking about. No.
Remember the guy that said, "Are you Stern?"
Oh yes. Do you remember what his name is?
I don't know if you should say his name. Garrett. His name's Garrett.
Garrett, who was a usher at the Perlman Performing Arts Center. Shout out to Garrett. Because we were walking from the lobby to our seats and trying to find our way. It's a tremendous place.
It's a really, really big theater.
Garrett sees us. He's one of the ushers. He's at the end of an intersection in the hallway, and he goes, "Is your last name Stern?" And I was like,
"Were you like what?"
Yeah. He's like, "Oh yeah, I saw you on the podcast." So there is a connection. It's somebody who I guess you must know from CCM, from the University of Cincinnati. Garrett, thank you for watching.
Shout out to you, Garrett.
And we hope that there's more Garretts out there, and we hope that people are beginning to connect with the show and understand and derive some value from this experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think today was a pretty good episode. Every day we get better. Every week we get better. And we'll be back next week with more pop culture topics and things happening in our lives. So
we got to try to lock it into every 7 days a new episode, but without the flu and without these other things.
You didn't have the flu.
I had something. Whatever these things are that come along.
Yeah.
We got to, the show must go on.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Whoa, Dad.
What?
You have to tell them to subscribe.
Oh. Like, subscribe. I'm at New Charlie Stern on Instagram. It's also at the Stern Spiel, and
I'm at Veronica Stern. But you know,
so Veronica, posts clips and some interesting things about the show. So we hope you'll connect, like, subscribe on YouTube. And Veronica doesn't know this, but I post it as a podcast as well. And people have been downloading
Yeah,
it.
they do download it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's another episode of the Stern Spiel. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next week.
Over and out.